Welcome to Dig's Market Influencers, the podcast that provides access and insight into the real estate industry through the eyes of some of the top performing agents in the country. I'm your host, Warren Dow, founder and CEO of M3 Media and publisher of Dig's Magazine. We're excited to have Neal Norman with us today to the Dig's Influencer podcast. Neal has sold over $1 billion in real estate over his 30-year career. Neal's been the number one broker in Kauai every year since 2009. He's also been the number one broker in the state of Hawaii from 2014 through 2016. He's an avid surfer, waterman, former organic farmer, lives in Kauai with his wife and 3 kids, and he's with us today on the Dig's Influencer podcast. So welcome to the show. Give us like your 60-second bio.
My 60-second bio is, I'm a 62-year-old surfer from the East Coast that moved to Kauai in 1985, around 30 years old. Fell in love with this place and fell in love with the people and the surf and the culture. Was always on the hunt for the perfect spot and found it in Hawaii, in the Hawaiian Islands. And as a kid, I was always a builder, designer, fixer. And at 19, I bought my first house in Southern California in Encinitas, a little town called Encinitas.
Oh, yeah.
And I borrowed money and did what I could and bought a little house. And it was my first project, full-blown project at 19. I redid a house in that little coastal community of Encinitas and got my first taste of real estate, remodeling, buying, selling, and, fell in love with it. And I've literally been doing it ever since. I have 3 kids, beautiful kids that were all born and raised in Hawaii, and a beautiful wife. Live on the beach in front of 2 great surf spots. Have a very successful real estate practice, have some great employees, and have been involved in many different aspects of real estate, from building, development, brokering, and love what I do. Love the process. Love the dreams that are made and the homes that we sell and the land that we sell to people. And I love staying involved through the development stages with people and help them design and connect with the right people to get their jobs done. And then, many clients are long-term friends of mine and have a great life and live in a really small, beautiful, tight community. And life revolves around the ocean and fishing and surfing. And we do lots of other things. We travel quite a bit, but real estate is what we do for a living, and, very happy and with how it's all gone.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that. So, what's funny is it seems like the most successful agents in the U.S. in different areas, they approach it almost like a lifestyle versus a business. And like your story, that 60-second bio was more, it's less business, it's more setting up your lifestyle and having the business sort of weave into it, right?
Yeah, I think, I always say it's hard to determine from the outside whether I'm playing or working. I kind of leave others to decide how to figure that out. It's all like a life, beautiful, experiment and living your life and weaving business into that and having it all, because it's not all about money. It's much more about life and lifestyle. And that's one of the things I greatly value about the culture here in Hawaii.
Tell us also about, you also founded an organic farm, right?
Yeah, so I've always, along with the building passion, I've always been really passionate about plants, palm trees, organic foods. In 1985, my first project in Hawaii was a home on a small farm, and we created a palm tree farm, an exotic palm tree farm. And we always grew things organically and didn't get that much kind of bang for our buck, in the sense that we were protecting the earth by growing organically, but we weren't creating something that was food. So after that, about 15 years of that, we created what's called Kauai Organic Farms, that still exists, and it became the largest ginger and turmeric producer in the state. And we ended up growing turmeric and ginger for Whole Foods and Wild Oats and and very passionate about it, but it was too cumbersome of a job. Farming is I think the greatest thing you can do, but it's not. It's a very difficult job. It didn't give me enough time to surf it and do my real estate work. And so after a while, we sold that. That was my last farm that I've had, and that operated and was very successful. Like I say, it's still going on. We sold that in 2000 to get back to focus on my real core business, which was real estate.
Interesting tie-in, the whole farming, and it's hard work, and ginger and turmeric they're great for you too, right? They're like what do they call that? Superfoods or something?
Yeah, they're medicinal. They're phenomenal for digestion. We grew a bunch of exotic fruits as well: sugarloaf, pineapple, lychee, and longan, and even noni. And we had a products company that we made dressings and sauces, and we sold those all over. It became like business became too forefront, and it was too much, and it cut into the lifestyle.
Yeah.
And it really cut into this great business I had created with real estate. So it was just too fragmenting to have both things going on. And so I chose the latter, the real estate world to keep on. And, later we started a company, and we sold that to what is now Hawaii Life, which is I would call it the premier real estate company in the state of Hawaii.
Yeah, it seems like they're really taking over, and they do a really good job, on their brand and their agents and all that stuff. It's awesome. So what's your favorite surf spot in Kauai?
I'd have to. I wouldn't be able to I'd have to kill you if I told you.
Yeah,
so.
It's a secret spot, right? I'm sure.
We can safely say that Honolulu Bay, the Point, is a world-class right-hander. Many people know about it. It's kind of like the daily bread here. It's super consistent, gets great winds, and it's kind of where I surf mostly. But there's a bunch of other spots, and luckily Kauai is sort of maintains some uncrowdedness that is like that, because there's a sort of unwritten rule here that we just don't really talk about the spots, and nobody photographs the spots, and obviously crowds are a real problem in surf, so we're trying to keep what we can.
That's good. You should, because Kauai is an amazing place. I've been there once, and I was blown away by the beauty, and I was awestruck by just it's magical place.
It really is beautiful. Yeah, it's lush and clean and very, very special place. It's a place where I've never been to a place where so many people look at each other. You run into somebody and they just go, "God, we're lucky we live here." It's really nice when the important things are who rides the biggest wave, who catches the biggest fish, and who barbecues the best bit. That's in fact, we had a friend over last night at dinner from New York, an actor, client. I invited some local friends over, and we talked story about the old days at Taylor Camp. And for about 60% of the 2-hour dinner, we talked about trees or a single tree.
Gotta love it.
And the woman was there, and she was an actress, and she goes, and my wife said to her, "When you're in LA at a dinner, is this like a conversation?" She's like, "Absolutely not." So, pretty interesting.
No, that's perfect. That sums it up perfectly right there. Hey, by chance, do you know the Irons? You probably do, living there.
I know there's many of them, and yes, I know quite a few of them.
The Bruce and Andy, and poor Andy, the passing. I'm into surfing as well. I've been surfing since I was a kid.
Yeah, the Irons family, the boys were born and raised here, and I'm friends with the parents, and of course we know the kids, and they're important Kauai residents, and really special, good people, and extremely talented surfers.
Yeah, to say the least, right?
Yeah.
So let me ask you, let's talk real estate. So off market, I got a bunch of questions on real estate, but I want to start with in the South Bay where we are, Hermosa Beach, Manhattan Beach, Redondo, PV, that whole, and even in the Westside, off market listings, not on MLS, off market, coming soon, whatever, have become sort of all the rage, especially at the high end. Is it the same over there?
I think there's mixed views. We never have what you would call what I would call a mainland San Francisco, LA hot market type situation here, because it's not a primary market. So, most of what I deal with is in second homes. I don't deal in the primary market. I deal with, a much higher end home than what you would call average price or median price. I don't really deal in median price. So we deal in high end residential, which therefore is second home, third home, fourth, maybe fifth home for some people. So you're dealing with an emotional buyer. We don't have a lot of transactional volume. We don't.
Yeah.
It's not about how many sides and how many sales we make. It's not, for me. It's we have a lot of very, very beautiful properties. So when someone wants to have an off market, which I always carry quite a few off market properties, some people think that because these properties are so special, they keep a more special nature, a perceived special nature, when they're not listed, because they can average can be 300, 400, 500 days on market here to get the right buyer, because you're just not dealing with a barrage of offers like you may with a great property in Los Angeles or Southern Cal, like where you are, or Malibu. And we typically sell below asking price, by 5 to 10%. So we never have the situation where you put it on the market and you wait 1 week and you have 6 offers and they're all above asking. And I've never been in a market like that. I always tell my LA and Malibu broker friends, I would just like to come in and do that for like a few weeks just to see what that's like.
Right. The frenzy.
So I tell people, it depends on your motivation, but if you're truly just waiting for that super special buyer, sometimes assessing real value here is very difficult at the high end.
Yeah.
There's so few transactions that we can't. It's not a science. It should be a science because appraisal is science. But when it's, we have a lot of random market occurrences here that just, someone just falls in love. It's completely emotional. It's not like they're buying a house. It's close to their job. They don't need the house, but they want the house or the property. That's 90% of my transactions are like that.
Yeah, it makes sense. So, and you've got a beautiful $70 million listing. Is that the high water mark? I know it's right now. That's the most highest price listing, but what's like the record sale?
We've done several deals that were 40 million and even 50 million, but they were amalgamations of, several properties, but bought by one party or an estate. So you can look at it, you won't see the records of 40 or 50 because it might have been 3 or 4 purchases of 10 or 12 each. So the highest, we did do a transaction that was well over 125 million, but it was several parcels, and it's not something I can talk about. I can talk about that there was a transaction like that. And it was, hundreds of acres. It was beachfront. And that the highest transaction I've ever done is that was vacant land. It was over a half a mile of beachfront, private swimming coves and beautiful land, more than over 500 acres. And that's the strongest deal we've ever done here. And 70 million is currently the highest listing in the state for a residence. And then we have done a few deals that totaled at 43, one was, and then one was 49.5, and we just completed one a couple of weeks ago of 39.5.
Wow, big numbers, and you deal with a lot of celebrities, right? That are buying and selling over there. Like I know you did Julia Roberts.
There's so the typical owner and second homeowner in Hawaii is probably going to be from the West Coast. Odds, so call it 50, 60, 70% are going to be from either somewhere between San Francisco and San Diego, and then some smatterings of Seattle and Portland people, and then there's quite a bit of ski area people, Aspen, Jackson Hole, Squaw, Tahoe, those kinds of people, Colorado people, Vail people that come over here. And then, typically the New Yorkers don't come, but we do have some New York buyers and East Coast buyers and Virginia Beach buyers and surfers that, so what's up is my career has been mostly Los Angeles based, and my first sale ever. So I was a real estate developer before I was a broker. And I had a realtor who owned a company, and when she sold me my first property in Hawaii, she sort of said, Neal, why don't you come and get a real estate license and do brokerage too. And I did it. And my first sale happened to be Graham Nash from Crosby, Stills and Nash. That was the first deal I ever did. And it was an entree into the music and celebrity world from Los Angeles. And you know that this is a referral business. So for many years and continuing, the referral business is like the gift that keeps giving if you do a great job. And so it's been a lot of celebrities. And in the last few years, there's been so much wealth generated in the Northern California area that it's kind of transmitted to that now, and more of my deals, bigger deals, are happening with young people, younger type people from Silicon Valley.
It makes sense. The wealth effect it's been crazy here as well. I mean, in the South Bay, Manhattan Beach is, new all-time high, breaking records on the Strand. Malibu's continuing to break records, just had $100+ million sale.
Yeah, my good friend did that deal. That was just unreal. That was my good friend's house as well.
Yeah, there's bigger developments going on right now. I just saw recently, just this week, Paul Allen just listed for $150 million some land in it's in Beverly Crest, or I forget the area, but
oh really?
Hilltop, and I forget how many acreage, but it's prime land.
Do you know who was the listing agent on that?
I should have studied that up before.
Was it Williams and Williams, or was it Rick Hyland?
No, it's Highland. Yeah, it's Highland. Yep.
Yeah, so Highland, is a friend of mine, good guy. We do things together. He's got listings that are astronomical. Like, we were talking that there's going to be a $500 million listing, or there may already be.
There is. I think there's not one yet, but I know they're building one back in that area.
I think that's the one he's representing, but I'm pretty sure there's a 250 or more. I'm fairly certain.
Yeah, there's a 250. I think they've reduced it, but there's been some crazy new development, and those are spec homes. I mean, it's like, can you imagine?
It's hard. It really, truly is hard to imagine.
I mean, carrying that on a spec home, it's like, okay. But the wealth is just, this is why, like you said in the beginning, value is hard. What does it really mean when you're at the Uber, we call them rock star digs. Like, that's the Uber high end, like value is, it's in the beauty is in the eye of the beholder. It's like, it's what you want to pay. And what, there's a story here. There's a guy that developed 3 lots on the Strand in Manhattan Beach, right on the Strand. And some big hedge fund or some wealthy person wanted to buy it, and it wasn't for sale. And they had the agent approach the owner and said, well, basically, what would you take for it? It's not for sale. Long story short, he comes back and offered him $150 million, and he said no.
Oh, wow.
He said no, and he said, and the reason was, and I don't know if I'm getting this exactly right in terms of the, what was said, but the gist of it is, hey, I've got a lifestyle. I wake up, I play volleyball on the beach. This is the best place on the world to live. Why would I move? Like, what's the price? There's no price to...
Right. There's no price for the exchange of the joy it brings.
Yeah, so it's priceless. And
sometimes when I'm discussing, like, with a very wealthy potential buyer, and you're discussing how much something may cost, and it's astronomical, and maybe it's never been achieved before, and the person's worth hundreds or multiple billions of dollars, let's say. And what's the exchange worth? For you to take the $50 million that it would cost to buy this property, and to have that stay in the bank and earn its interest, and I get it, granted it's a lot of money and all that, but what's the exchange? How much would it cost you how much can you put a price on the joy you're going to have for the next year, your years on the earth? Maybe you've got 20 or 30 or 40 left, but then you have grandkids and grandkids, and they'll have grandkids, and, the memories and the children that'll be born, and the surfing and the now foiling, and, all the different things you're going to be doing on that beautiful property. You just can't exchange it. And that will go deep into someone's psyche and soul to, like, yeah, you're right. Like, the 50 can never give me that joy.
Yep. So let me ask you a fun question, and you don't have to answer this if you don't want, but I thought it would be fun to ask you, like, what's the biggest real estate check you've ever cashed, like commission?
I don't know. I don't know that I feel comfortable discussing that.
That's no worries. I thought I would throw it out there because it's like, people who are not in your business, our business, yeah, they're always enamored by, like, oh my gosh, how much money do they, these guys make selling this $10 million home or this, so what they don't understand, it's like, it's hard work too. It's like, it's not just show up, get your license and start making $1 million a year. It's tough. I mean, it's arguably one of the toughest jobs.
It's safe to say, and I tell sort of when I'm mentoring younger people, I always say the great thing about real estate, it's unlimited. You can make hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands. You can make millions. You can make billions of dollars. So it's a good category of business to be into if you're good at it and you're good at telling the truth and good at doing all the work that it takes to be a good realtor or a good broker. It's not like I'd never say this is easy work.
Yeah.
But it is nice to get paid for the hard work. So picking a category where you could make a lot of money and you may make a lot of money is kind of the case. So yeah, there's been some great paydays. It's been a joy, and we just keep doing our good work and keep telling the truth and keep the integrity.
Yeah. Well, the industry's changing so much too. Being in the business, I watch closely what's happening with the direct-to-consumer model, the iBuyer, with the whole Redfin, Zillow, discount brokerage model, Compass now with a public company coming in with lots of money. The landscape has been wildly disrupted and it's changing. What are your views on that? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I have pretty clear views on that. So when I first was faced with a very big competitor who was coming into the market in Hawaii, and they said, kind of join us or watch out. We're gonna take you down. And I said, you know what? You may be able to overtake me in the low end and the medium end stuff, but I believe that in the high end world, a high end purchase, a guy or a person, a buyer is going to want to talk to the person who is referred to them personally from one of their friends who's bought through that person. That's how I would want to do it. So I kind of often try to put myself in my own shoes. I am in my own shoes, but I put myself in someone else's shoes. And I think that I've probed enough of the buyers that I know that would never just take it all the way down the road, on the internet. I use it as a tool for information, and I use it as a tool for being efficient, but I don't think you can replace a good, honorable, super smart, intelligent guy out there, woman or guy, anybody out there showing a property, discussing it, vesting, you sort of having a vested relationship with that person and creating a trust and a bond that lasts a very long time. And, I've done many of my deals over, 35-year career. I've been multiple properties back and forth sold or purchased from one person. And I just don't see that, maybe if you buy a condo, you're going to do 90% of your work online. But when it comes to a $5, $10, $15, $20 million property, it's going to be that person who has that kind of money is going to want to talk directly to the horse's mouth, so to speak.
No, I agree. The high end's very, I think, insulated from a lot of the tech and definitely the discount. It's back to the network effect, and it beats to a different drum for sure.
Yeah. So I think there's a very good place in the world for the Redfins and the Zillows, but there's nothing like, even this conversation is a very direct, you can hear the intonation in my voice. I can hear the intonations in your voice, the subtleties, and there's a lot to that.
Yep. And I can hear a dog barking too, which is cool.
That's right.
I know we're getting close on time here, but I want to ask you a few things on some of your peers. Like, do you have any marketing tips or tips, leadership type advice for people either that are, looking to make the leap from good to great in terms of they've been in the business for a while or just someone starting out?
Yeah, I think I have some real key things. I always tell people that it's a business of networking, it's a business of trust, and it's a business of the hard work and the knowledge is going to get you farthest. I always say that, the harder I work, the luckier I get. So when I teach young brokers who work for me, or, we always say, much better to tell somebody, I'll get back to you with the answer to that question that I don't currently have the answer to, than trying to come up. I see so often people trying to just come up with an answer just to look like they're smart. I think that's rule number one. Don't fall into that trap. Just you'll get back with the answer. Now, obviously, if you have a lot of answers, you're going to be looking smart, but just don't ever BS your way through that. The other thing is just, it's like anything, like the common thread of successful people, I think, is the hard work. There's always going to be some factor of will, skill, and luck. And I think the will is probably the strongest thread. That's the hard work. And skill, obviously you're not going to get that far without some good skills, but skills you can figure out. You can work hard to get more skillful. And then, right place at the right time is a little bit of luck and hard work all combined. So
well stated, well said. Do you guys, the cryptocurrency phenomenon that's going on right now? Do you guys have you had any Bitcoin transactions on any of these deals?
I've certainly been semi-deeply looking into it and very interested myself, and have clients that are Bitcoin early adopters of Bitcoin. And I even went to the point of getting together with a couple of my escrow buddies that run escrow companies to see if we could get a vehicle for doing those transactions. And the truth is that we haven't evolved it yet, so I have not seen one. I've not been involved with one. I've been asked before, but it's never come to hey, I can buy this with Bitcoin only, let's make it happen. That has not happened yet. And if that does happen, I'll be way open to making that happen for that person.
Yeah, that's something that's good. There's been a few deals in Manhattan Beach that happened entirely with Bitcoin. So it's definitely something that's going to continue to evolve, and we got to pay attention to.
Did it go through a conventional escrow company?
That's a great question. It went through an escrow company that created like a non-traditional portion of it or something. They figured out a way to do it, but it wasn't. I don't think it was a large, traditional escrow company. I think it was they found a way to do it through a subsidiary or something.
Got it. I'd love to. I'd love to share that. If you could share that with me, if you know more about it, I'd love to hear about it.
No, I can definitely. I could ask the agent who. Yeah, he found this company. That's how he was able to do it.
I'd love to hear about that.
Why don't we wrap up? You've given me a lot of time, and thank you so much. And I think we've learned a lot about you and what's happening in the real estate market over there. And you've got your $70 million gorgeous Kauai estate compound. It's 15 acres, right?
It's 15 acres, correct. It's on two parcels side by side, 15 acres. It's roughly a 12,000 square foot, just magnificent house above it, just an incredibly beautiful secluded beach that's they call Secret Beach. It's a beautiful spot. Every now and then it gets perfect little beach break waves in the summertime, or sometimes even in the winter. And there's a lighthouse on the east side of the beach, and probably over 1.5 miles of beach. Just a fantastic spot.
So what you're saying is to get my own little secret surf spot in Kauai, I got to buy that pad for $70 million, right?
You can do that. If you can't handle that, there's a couple $35 million ones that you might like.
All right. I'm going to check them out. All right, Neal. Well, hey, thank you so much for being a part of our Influencer podcast. We'll definitely check in with you from time to time to see what's happening in the markets over there.
Okay, Warren. Great to talk to you, and thanks for the call, and I'll talk to you soon.
You got it. Thank you. Thanks for tuning in. Look for more Market Muse episodes coming soon. Check out our podcast on iTunes, and we welcome your questions and suggestions for future episodes in the comments below. Like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for hanging with us.